Nigerian girls from sex slavery. There were startling revelations recently on how Nigerian girls were used as sex slaves in some West African countries. The Director General of NAPTIP, that's the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Julie Okadonli, let the cat out of the bag when she said over 20,000 Nigerian girls were in Mali working as sex slaves, and the number increases by 50 every day.
God.
The Nigerian ambassador to Burkina Faso, Ramatu Ahmed, re-echoed that over 10,000 Nigerian girls were working as sex slaves in Burkina Faso. The girls are sold for between 210,000 naira to 240,000 naira, and they're expected to pay back about 1.2 million through sex slaving before regaining their freedom. Now, some of the girls were brought in still wearing their school uniforms. That means they were kidnapped either on their way to school or on their way back from school. Many of the victims, according to NAPTIP, who were rescued in 2011 and some others in 2017, they came back to Nigeria only to return to Mali with more girls. Now, for every Nigerian girl that escapes and wants to go back, there are more than 10 more girls in the bush who are willing to carry on. Let's go and see this report by Al Jazeera on Nigerian girls who are being used as sex slaves in Mali. We'll be back.
Here in Kokoyo, the vigilante is law. Despite the presence of Malian soldiers, the armed men arrived in huge numbers. They made it clear the Nigerians trying to rescue their citizens trapped in the sex trade aren't welcome here. Eventually, the delegation had to leave. Activists who've been working with the girls say they face such threats every time.
Security agencies are working with them. In a situation where there's a lot of beneficiaries in a crime, it's very, very difficult to eradicate it. The people you think that you will call now to come and help you rescue these guys, they are benefiting every week from them.
On the outskirts of town, the team is able to meet some of the girls. Only one of them agreed to go back home. The rest are too afraid of the traffickers and too ashamed to face their peers and relations.
We can't force them to go back home, but those who are ready and willing to go back home, the Nigerian embassy, we're working with them closely, we're working with IOM closely. They are going to come together and take the girls back home.
While some of the girls have paid off the traffickers, many are still trapped. Teenage girls are less likely to be left off, even after paying an agreed sum of $2,000. At this safe house in the capital Bamako, a group of 30 women and girls wait for their repatriation home. When news filtered through that some of them will be leaving in a matter of hours, there was jubilation. But 18-year-old Faith isn't among the ones leaving. She's 8 months pregnant and she has a lot of regrets. She's left home without telling anyone. She's now torn between her newly found freedom and how she will be received on arrival in Nigeria.
I leave the work while they learn. I leave my mother, come Mali, come to Asham, come carry belly from Mali.
This 16-year-old teenage mother and thousands of others like her came to Mali through Benin Republic. A trafficker promised her a new life with a well-paid job.
The place will find me say, now you go side, if I go, I'll come back quick so that I will get my money. Because she not tell me that I'm coming here to come and do a shower, she not tell me like that. And she can't tell me like that, I can't say okay. She can't tell me I should not tell anybody. Say I'm traveling.
The girls at the mining areas and other brothels of Mali say they were registered by law enforcement on arrival. They also pay weekly dues to authorities whose only problem with prostitution is when it involves minors, at least underage Malians. As the Nigerian delegation found out, repatriating an estimated 20,000 trafficked minors and young adults is complex.
Okay, welcome back. Now, I'm sure we are all conversant with this story, but there is trouble brewing from this particular issue, which is why I brought it out. First, the Malian women they are already grumbling that Nigerian girls are taking their men, and there are fears of imminent xenophobic attacks. 3 Nigerian girls were killed between November and December last year, and of course, the Malian authorities are not doing so much because they are making a lot of money. It's brisk business for them. They collect taxes from these girls on a weekly basis, and they sell condoms and other medications to them by force. They have to buy every month, so it's brisk business. And on the other hand, the girls are endangered, and this is a source of serious concern for the Nigerian embassy also in Burkina Faso. Let's react.
Well, the one of Mali that they said is 20,000 is more than that.
Of course,
even those ones in Bamako alone is more than 20,000. Yoruba used to say, as it is in Liki, that is why it's in Banga. They are both bitter cola, but they are of different species. What it means is this: what happens at home is even more than the numbers of the one of West Africa. The one that happens at home. That's
happening on Nigerian soil.
In fact, the baby factory, for those people that always think in some part of the country you always have baby factory, it is right now in Lagos. There is a big syndicate in Lagos in that respect. And taking Nigerian girls from here down to other country, I must confess that if you have been to Benin Republic, you will understand better. And also Cote d'Ivoire, you will understand better that a lot of things are even they are happening. As we are talking about men in South Africa, the females, what is happening to them is another thing entirely. Some of these girls will leave home without even telling. The one with school uniform, I didn't agree that, well, some of them may be kidnapped.
Okay.
There are some of them that will go from school. In fact, some, their parents will think they are still in tertiary institution. They are already in Kenya, they are already in Bahrain, they are already in another country, and that is how it is. And they will not tell them at home. And there are some, especially in some part of Ogun State, there are some guys, thank God that the Nigerian police are trying their best in that regards, that there are some men that come around. They will just go to tertiary institution, look for some girls, and they will tell them, you are beautiful. You know, we can get you a cook job in Bahrain. And they will tell them the amount. But you have to do one thing. You know, a lot of people will want this. Don't tell anybody. Don't worry, your visa, don't worry, your passport will pay for everything. And they will pay for everything, truly. But what they will just do is that they will just ask them to look for like 50,000, 100,000. That with that, don't worry. When you get there, within 1 month or 2 months, you will pay the money. What they will now do is this. They will now give them targets. That within so months you must pay 2 million, or they have a price, they will name them. And this is the kind of thing Nigerian government needs to do much in this regards. NAPTIP, they are really trying, I must confess, because our population is something else. But yet the government needs to equip them more so that they can go to all the news crannies of the West African states. They are much. Go to Cote d'Ivoire, you will understand what I'm talking about. The one of Mali is only the one of Bamako, those one in the city. In the capital territory of that is where they are talking. There are some people in the rural areas that they cannot even come home, and some of them they are still paying 5 years, 6 years.
You raised a valid point, which is the fact that this racket is also on homeland. Let's talk a bit about that, Chooks.
Before we talk about this racket, I want to say something. See, we've got to the point where Nigeria as a country need to sit down. It doesn't matter the state you are. It doesn't matter the government. I would say free education is a law. That people must go to secondary school at least. You know, part of the problem you have with these girls is lack of education. What education does for you is it exposes you, so you understand exactly what things are. So when people come to you with some kind of,
feed you some things,
you should be able to say no, it's not. But when there's no education, most of them, see, they're all speaking pidgin English because maybe some of them will not even go to primary school. Lack of education is the starting point. Then parenting, which we've always said here, parents no longer take care of their children. Everybody is busy chasing all kinds of things. Like he pointed out, back home here, it's everywhere. Even in this Lagos that we are. Even in this Lagos that we are. So where do we even start? Look at the figures we are raising here. This is just, we are talking of Burkina Faso. When you now cross over to other countries and go to Europe, we can't continue like this now. There's no way we can continue like this. And the way that the fact that the people in government sit down and see things like this and they go to bed and sleep.
And they are not moved.
All right, Udo is saying, Madam, go to mile 2, Seme Park. You will see Nigerian young girls traveling out to these West African countries. You'll be shocked.
Yes.
Mr. Shokwito.
You know, I think that with these types of things, what you can do, there are 2 levels of response. NAPTIP is doing a lot. I am sure that there are a couple of civil society organizations in partnership with multilateral, you know, international agencies are also helping. But ultimately, that is just trying to stem a tide that is flowing heavily, pushed and driven by 2 things. One is what Chuk said.
Lack of education.
Second one, poverty. There is so much poverty and illiteracy in this country that these types of things are actually inevitable. So the only thing you can do is to just try and control the little you can until we fix the fundamental problem.
We will see
These things are going to
they will
continue. They will keep going to Mali, they will go to Paris, they will go to Dubai and all those terrible places to suffer a terrible fate because in their head, at least they are living, they are eating, they are doing whatever. So is it the indignity? It's to us, because of our level of exposure, that you are thinking, oh, the indignity.
Exactly.
To the girl is not seeing anything dignifying about it because
she's just making a living.
She's making a living.
Okay.
So we need to fix our poverty issue, we need to fix our illiteracy issue, and all of that, unfortunately, the main body and agent actor in Nigeria that can fix that is government.
Can we quickly comment on the unlabeled commercial sex workers, because we know they are there. Our girls in the tertiary institutions, they are being patronized by our politicians. These are issues we always bury under the carpet, but we know this is the truth.
Well,
10 seconds.
Stereotyping politicians, I won't agree.
You won't agree.
It is a general. No, it is a general.
We have
Okay.
we have one of us.
You know, the reason why I'm saying this is a general. It's not only politicians that patronize them.
Okay.
But one thing there is a general thing. In fact, if we are talking about politicians are part of us too. But what is important there is that in every tertiary institution, even some private schools are not even excluded. It's not that some they are not. It's not even the money. It's some they didn't do it for money, and that is the reason why the issue of parentage is very important. Okay. That irrespective the way you've tutored, you tailored, you put your children under good tutelage. By the time they get to tertiary institution, they will be independent and they will know what is right from what is wrong.
Jokes.
You know, we can't sit down here and deny that this things don't happen in our tertiary institution.
No, it's happening. Yeah.
But why I am not so worried, is that the ones in tertiary institutions already they know what they want. They know the direction they are going. Yeah. Because they are in school. Some of them know why they do it, and they know the timeline. They know when they pull off. The danger is in those ones that no knowledge at all.
No future.
No education.
No future.
No
ambition.
So for them, it's like a career. The ones in tertiary school is not exactly a career. Some of them get into it because they want to pay school fees, because they need to sort themselves out of school. Okay. And once they get past that level, they are fine. But the career ones is the one we should be talking about.
Let's not forget that a number of these people that we're talking about are in big private schools.
Yes.
Are from obviously affluent homes.
Yes.
You know, so it's their choice. Majority of them are 18 plus, so they're adults. It's their choice. If that's what they want to do with their lives, good luck to them and their parents. That's my own opinion.
Okay, this issue is something the government needs to look into. All right, our girls are being, for lack of a better word, rubbished. The health implication, let's not even go into that. They grow up to become adults who now become a problem to the society. Thank you so much.